Touching on that, I think there's only one place to start in the Premiership at the minute. Big story that made me and Craig look like absolute knobheads. We predicted the day before that Newcastle was going down. That was our pick. First manager sacked, which might be true, but then only for them the next day go and get taken over. And now it's looking like the world is at their feet. So what do we all make of the transfer first, of the takeover first of all? And are they going to be a real threat, or is it, is it all pie in the sky? Because financial fair play, what do you think, Craig?
I think, of course, they're going to be a threat. It took Man City only a couple of years to start winning something, and these boys are coming in with a lot more money. I think, the owner,
they have a fan base as well there.
Yeah.
Man City never had.
Yeah. I mean, even when Newcastle have been dog shit for years, like they always fill the stadium, they always travel well away. I think it's a very smart boy. They're getting them for what, 300 million. So they are
peanuts, eh?
Yeah. They obviously
two Harry Kanes.
They obviously have a lot of money then to invest into, like, the youth set up the facilities and the first team. And I think the owner that they had, although he was a stingy prick at the best of times, like the fact he didn't spend it, even with financial fair play, now they have 200 million to mess with in January. So I think what you'll start to see is a lot of them, they'll come in and start picking off players that aren't getting their game for some of the bigger teams. Maybe a Jesse Lingard, maybe a Martial, maybe even a Sterling.
Hopefully. Get rid of them.
Well, it's funny you say that, actually. Ed, I've seen a few things in the paper today. They're after Lingard, Van de Beek, Bailey. Who else was he mentioned? There's someone else. But they're after all the players not getting a game in your side. So what do you make of that? You think would you like to see them out? Lingard, those sort of players, the fringe players?
Yeah, I would. I'd get rid of them.
Tomorrow morning.
No, shocking. Lingard I'd probably keep. You need a squad player. United always, when we were successful, had squad players. The players you'd bring in for the Carling Cup and the likes of this. But Lingard's good enough to play mid-table Premier League, fighting for Europa League. That was his standard at West Ham last year. For him, he should go. For United, he's a good sub to have. He's good legs to change a game. But the likes of Phil Jones still hanging around, Bailey still hanging around. Send them off to Fulham. That's their standard.
Is that internet guy again, is
Yeah.
No, he said send them off to Fulham.
Yeah.
Well, here's one thing I find interesting I saw today is that apparently 19 other clubs, it's not too hard to guess who they are in the Premiership, will ask for an emergency meeting because they dispute the sort of process of how they took over. Now, based on, this is a bit of a smokescreen that they're based on human rights, but it seems like they had a piracy issue and that was sorted and now they took over. Now, don't you think it's a bit hypocritical that someone can come in and say they're not fit to run this football club when you got, obviously, you all know yourself, Shane, Abramovich, bit of a sketchy past, and, are they right in thinking that, to be able to judge that? I mean, is it really down to Newcastle to convince 19 other owners that their person buying the club is fit and proper?
No, I don't think so. I think, ultimately there was checks done, wasn't there? You can't just come in and purchase a football club, especially of that stature.
Absolutely.
So there's been checks done, and if they've passed the checks, I think, as you said, it's more of a kind of a smoke screen. Is it a kind of let's delay this as long as possible?
Yeah.
I just think it's a bit far fetched. I think just get on with it. What's the need for this meeting? It is what it is now at this stage.
Yeah. That
all the checks have been done, and now they've I think a lot of people are just unhappy that they've got a massive amount of more money to spend.
I think that's what it is. Yeah. It's the gap in wealth. Like
did I read the other day that
23 billion or something comparison is 320 billion. Like
did I read that they have more disposable funds than every other Premier League club put together?
Combined,
like 10 or something.
That's absurd. Like, but then you talk about the transfers. I think ultimately it'll be a slower process for Newcastle because I think they will struggle to attract players for the first 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. Just given obviously the history of the club has been with Ashley there and how it's not been a great place to be. Although that's changed, I still think players will be apprehensive. You're dead right. They'll pick off these players, that aren't getting the game. But I read one the other day. They were linked with Icardi from PSG. Like,
but that's a realistic target, though. He's sitting on a bench
unless they got massive amounts of money. But I do think it'll be a slower process. But the money's there, and over time they obviously will gradually work their way up. It's just when. I think that's the big thing with Newcastle now. It's when will they become that big spending force?
Mitch, I think it's just that all these clubs are feeling threatened. Do you know what I mean? Like, United were obviously big spenders, Chelsea big spenders, Man City came in. I think you're going to get a lot of pressure from the clubs like Spurs and Arsenal that are big clubs, and even Liverpool, like they're huge clubs, but they just can't compete at that spending level. And, Arsenal, for the last however long, their goals were to get top 4. That was it. And now that's becoming impossible now, even before Newcastle came into the picture. So all of these kicking up more than getting together, and it's just fear because there is a powerhouse coming in now.
It is, by the way, telling that Shane was the first one to jump in and defend the questionable billionaire buying a football club.
Well, I wasn't defending.
I didn't know. It's a question.
He was only back in the UK for the first time in 3 years the other day. You know what I mean? So, but listen, you can say what you want about his past, but he has that club as a priority in his business, in his business structure. Everything he does is for that club. You look at the money he's invested in the youth system we have now, like that Combe youth system is just producing player after player, and it has done for years. You look at the English internationals breaking in now. Reece James, Callum Hudson-Odoi just sitting there. There's loads of them. Of them. So he has put the money in, and he has wanted the club to do better. I don't think with him it's necessarily just been thrown money to waste it. There's always been a plan there, although there has been hundreds of millions wasted.
But he's there 15 years or so, he's there a long time. He's not just in it for a quick up.
Exactly.
I think he's been a good owner for the Premier League as well. The players' management he's attracted. I'd be a fan of Abramovich as much as I hated Chelsea, because for a while they were kind of our only real direct rivals before City kind of come on the scene. Arsenal were falling off. But I think Abramovich has been good for the Premier League. Not so much the City guys. I just bloody hate Man City. So
I think also if you listen to feedback from the players that speak to him and the management that speak to him on a regular basis, it's always very positive and constructive. There's never he doesn't keep in touch with us. He doesn't speak to anybody. He's very heavily involved.
That's KGB running fear into that's all that is. Nothing else. Yeah.
I just get Vladimir on the phone if there's any issues,
Shane, listen, Eddie, that's going to be your pass clearance gone if you keep mentioning KGB.
I told him when the internet was dodgy.
But with the Newcastle one, right, what will happen is it's already an inflated market, so every player that Newcastle do buy will definitely come at a premium. So just say a player was worth 80 million, they're going to squeeze 120, 130 million out of each signing that they could possibly get, known that they have money. So that's going to make it more difficult for the teams that are not in that upper bracket of 3 or 4 clubs that can compete for the signature. So probably the emergency meeting is we're letting clubs get so far ahead of us. What are we going to do?
But I mean, is 200? They're sort of saying that over the next few years, because of financial fair play, they should have around about £200 million to spend. Where is that really enough to overhaul their squad? I mean, Arsenal spent 160 million this year.
Yeah,
And
but
how many windows will it take of 200
Yeah.
million?
Mitch,
Arsenal,
the people making Arsenal's decisions are Edu and Arteta.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're the wrong people, and that's the problem with Arsenal from the top down. They've the wrong people in place making these decisions. This crowd with Newcastle, like, they're going to bring in the best people. I wouldn't be shocked if they, go for Conte, go for some of these big managers, because they have 200 million in January, and then God knows what they're going to have in the summer as well. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think they have to avoid relegation this year, of course, so they have to get out of that. But I think from January onwards, like, they're going to start attracting big players. They will overpay for clubs to get them, so the clubs will be happy to get some of these off their books. They're going to throw outrageous wages at some of them, and in football there are players that are money hungry, you know what I mean? So I think they'll be better run than the likes of an Arsenal.
Yeah, well, there is rumours today already that Steve Bruce is not going to be in the dugout against Spurs.
For the weekend.
So given our track record, he'll probably sign a new contract in the morning.
An 8-year contract.
Yeah.
Another Alan Pardew.
He looks like he's on the way out, and obviously we'll have to wait and see how that one turns out. Well, we got.
If you had that 200 million and you gave it to Brendan Rodgers at Leicester, he's already competing and has them competing.
Yeah,
it depends on who. Obviously, their premium, as you said, will be increased.
Yeah,
because they now have money. But if you have the right manager, a bit of time, 3-4 windows, you could seriously attract some good fines, sell them on, just compete.
Do you think living in Newcastle is an issue?
Yeah,
I'd imagine so, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I've never been, and there's a reason I've never been.
Same reason I've never been to Scotland. Or Waterford.
There's other reasons for that.
Andrew, just touching on that.
Sorry,
mate. Andrew, just touching on that with Newcastle, right? I think in the early days, yes, but Manchester wasn't a pretty city, didn't have great weather, but I think these are so wealthy. They're going to do what the Man City owners did. They're going to invest in the area. They're going to build all these fancy hotels, restaurants. They will do up that city. And I think at the end of the day, money's going to talk here. And I think over the next 10, 15, 20 years, Newcastle will be a popular city. All right, not weather-wise, but they're just going to... They've too much money to play with.
It's a great night out. I can't imagine Neymar in Wetherspoon. So.
Balotelli.
I can. That's the problem with him. I can't.
The pity Ronaldinho and Ronaldo and all have retired. They love a night out.
They might come back. Yeah.
And most of the good ones
in a heartbeat.
Most of the good ones leave their missus at home, don't they?
A personal experience there.
Need a missus first.
You're a fella then, whichever.
Moving on from that then, we'll start with you, Shane, seeing as Chelsea sitting top of the tree at the minute.
Yeah.
Obviously, things are looking all right. He's had a good start to the season, but do you think Tuchel is a bit of a victim of his own success this year, given that, he's come in, won the Champions League. He's probably brought on his whole plan of whatever the plan was 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
Is he now expected to do more than his squad is capable of, do you think?
I think you're right. He's a victim of his own success because he immediately got results. Now, obviously, I love Frank Lampard. He's an absolute legend of the club, but he wasn't the right manager for us. We had a squad of players that a more experienced manager could have done more with than Frank did. Like he was making some big calls, leaving some of these players out of certain games where you need experience and that, and it was just a bit mind-blowing, to be honest. But back to Tuchel, I think, yes, it's been a good start to the season, sitting top. Our first 3 away games were Arsenal, Spurs and Liverpool, and we picked up 7 out of 9 points. So you can't go wrong with that. I think there'll be a lot more pressure on him now that we've spent the money on Lukaku, although it's not put us at a disadvantage financially because we won the Champions League and secured Champions League position within our league finish anyway. I think there's going to be a lot more expected of us. He hit the ground running. Things have looked a little bit stagnant in the last 2 or 3 games. I think they're still trying to figure out how to play with Lukaku because essentially we've played with that kind of false 9 for the last year. Just given Werner's positioning within games. But I don't know. I think, with a good result against Southampton, another few crazy VAR decisions. I don't know if you've seen the Werner disallowed goal for a foul 2 minutes before.
Yeah.
But that was a bit strange. But I think if we can get a good result now the weekend, and if Lukaku can get on the score sheet again, if he plays, he did leave the Belgian camp with a muscle injury, muscle fatigue.
Mm.
So I do think he'll play. I reckon it was probably just he was feeling a little niggle. It was a nothing game. Yeah. So I reckon he just went back, just rest up, prepare for the weekend. But I'd be confident of a result against Brentford the weekend, although they have been fantastic. They really outperformed themselves. And
they're banana skin for anyone.
Yeah, they've been really good to watch. But you'd have to be confident being one of the bigger clubs, So yeah, things are looking good, but let's just try push on. We're getting goals. We've 12 different goal scorers, and we've only scored 15 goals. So there's goals in that team. It's just about finding consistency now.
But that's a good statistic? I remember the United sides of old and even Liverpool when they won the league. They had a few different goal scorers. Everyone could chip in with a goal. But do you think down the stretch, maybe Lukaku isn't going to be enough? I mean, you've got Werner. I was looking at his stats today. He's got 7 in 41 with 32 starts in the Premier League, and overall 15 in 59. I mean, it ain't a great return. Obviously, he's had a year bedding into the Premiership. He's a young lad. But do Chelsea have the same firepower as, say, United have got Ronaldo back now, and he'll get you every type of goal. Liverpool got Salah, and he's on fire, and Mane. And do you think you can compete?
Yeah, I do. You missed the statistic though. Werner has had 16 disallowed goals in a year. That's and some of the decisions have been neck and neck. We all used to complain about VAR last year, how it was too ridiculous. Yes, it's offside, but on any other day, most of them would have been given. I think he works hard. He creates a lot. He makes space for the other players, which is something that they all seem to talk about. His runs off the ball create space for our 10s, Mount, Havertz, Ziyech. Although none of them are really excelling at the moment. I think when we get Mason Mount back to full fitness again, I think that'll make the difference. Really, it's that transition we seem to be lacking the last 2 or 3 games from midfield up top. Whereas
I think Lukaku is part of that problem, though, Shane.
Sorry.
I think Lukaku is part of that problem at the minute at Chelsea. I think Chelsea had a really good fluid, their kind of front five. You couldn't pin down, quite similar to the way Liverpool played. They'd move in, move around. You had a lot of men running into late balls. Havertz, Mount is brilliant at it.
Yeah,
Lukaku is now a focal point that they've spent so much money. They feel they have to feed the ball into him earlier than they probably usually would. I hated him at United. Hated him.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, but I think people are still trying to figure out how we adapt our system with Lukaku in it, because it was always striker would drop deep and the players would run in behind. But now we've actually got someone who can finish, and he's a completely different player to what he was at Man United. I think everyone would agree. He looks much better on the ball. He just seems more focused. I do think he is a key player for us now. And I do think it's just about getting these lads playing with them. I think the big one will be if we can get Pulisic back fit. I think he will be really, really sharp off Lukaku. I think that'll make a difference, himself and Mount. I like Havertz. I think he will come good. But I think himself and Ziyech seem to be struggling big time at the moment. And Tuchel's giving them chances. He's playing them week in, week out. It just doesn't seem to be working, but I do think we will compete. I agree we don't have the firepower that Liverpool will have. They have goals on 3 different fronts up top, United now have Ronaldo, who, as you said, can score a goal out of anything, any situation, just feed the ball in. But I'm confident. I would be very, very confident.
Do you know what, Shane? I think, just touching on that question there by Mitch, I think, yes, United have more options going up forward than Chelsea, but it also comes down to the manager. And I just think that you guys have a better manager that has other options. I wouldn't say we're smashing in goals left, right and centre, even though we have all these options, or we even know who our best 3 up top are or whatever.
Yeah.
Ollie's kind of chopping and changing everything, but if in the middle of a game, if Chelsea hasn't scored or you aren't winning, I trust Tuchel more to make a formation change or the right sub
100%.
change than I'd expect from Ollie.
Yeah, I think ultimately as well, we're focusing a lot on the attack and play. Will we score enough goals? Like, I think alongside City and Liverpool on their day, our defence is unbelievable. Like, the way he has them drilled.
Only since he came in, though.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. The way he has them set up is just phenomenal. We've conceded 3 goals. 1 was a penalty. Even since Tuchel came in, I think we've conceded the least amount of goals in the Premier League and faced the least amount of shots. So he has changed it. And, it's that, like Frank was dropping as Pilaqueta, but it's experience. It's himself, Thiago Silva, Rudiger, who couldn't get a look in under Lampard and was brilliant the previous year. I think we've enough to keep any game tight. And if we can get the forwards playing ball and get Lukaku scoring, then I don't see why any game they would fear any opposition.
So, quick prediction for this weekend: Chelsea-Brentford. What are you going for?
I'm gonna say 3-0.
And what's your prediction for the season? And we will hold you to it.
Yeah, you know what? I think all we were really missing was a goal scorer in that team to complement the rest of them. I'm going to say
when you get one, you'll be all right.
I'm going to say top 2. Yeah, I'd be confident we could win the league.
Fair play, lads. What do you reckon the weekend? Chelsea-Brentford.
I think
Goals.
Yeah, goals.
Yeah. Brentford they're just so good playing ball. Like even what they done to Liverpool. That was another cracking game to watch.
Yeah, that was some game of football.
But as Shane said, Chelsea they know how to shut shop up and just see a game out, manage the game since Tuchel has come in. For me, Chelsea are favourites to win the league.
I fancy 2-2 this weekend for them lot. I feel that there's going to be goals.
Oh, wow.
Because you're a Fulham fan.
Yeah,
I couldn't care less, to be honest.
I think.
It's no relevance in your game.
I think I'd be shocked if Chelsea didn't take it. As good as Brentford have been, I just think Chelsea have too much. As Ed was saying as well, I wouldn't be shocked if Chelsea won the league, as much as I hate to say it, And I think something that obviously their defence is quality, and they brought in Mendy, who's unbelievable so far. A big step up from their last keeper, who couldn't catch fucking anything. But they also have Kante and Jorginho sitting right in front of them, and it's nearly impossible to break them down. And that's exactly the problem United have had in our defence. We've now real quality sitting midfielder. So I think Chelsea would beat Brentford. I'd give it 2-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, I think 2-1 Chelsea myself. I don't think Brentford is going to score a heap of goals for the reasons that you said. That block of 7 that Chelsea have just won't be torn to shreds. But I do think Brentford are still. I don't think they're ready to settle down yet. So they'll still have good games of football. So I think it'll be close, but Chelsea just a little bit too much.
Brentford are their home team here. They've had a whole international window to get ready for one big game. It's could have an upset on your hand. Never know.
Well, let's move on to you, Craig, since as you brought some backup this week. You can both chip in. United this season been sort of a bit hot and cold so far. Is there early signs there that they're always right in the camp? I mean, you got Van den Beek sulking allegedly, which personally I think he does. Oh, maybe not so public, but I think there is some warrant there. He's been pretty patient. Yeah. You got Ronaldo, obviously big personality. He's come in, and there's been a little, not rift, but the sort of early makings of it. Do you think Solskjaer has got enough to hold it together with the personalities he's got in the change room this year? And is it going to affect United?
I think it's been hit and miss. We spoke about it on the last show, where I think I've been impressed with Ollie. He's come in, he's steadied the ship. He got rid of loads of players that we needed to get rid of. He's brought in some good quality players. But he for me, he's not consistent enough, especially against the lower teams in this league. And we're dropping points left, right and centre. And this whole away record is a bit of a flaw record because, we're drawn against teams we should be beating, even if it's home or away. And you need to win those games. You need to pick up 3 points here and there. There's no point getting 1 point. The Donny van de Beek situation, it's a sad one because I think he has a lot of talent. I don't think he's blown us away in the minutes he's got. But again, he hasn't had 5-6 games consistently to actually try get a run of form here. And I think we're starting to see some things crack there because Ollie gave an interview, I think it was last week, where the reporter was asking him about the Donny situation. And he said, he's been a sub more than anyone, so we can understand the frustration. But as long as people stay professional, it's all good. But then he said if someone starts to kick off a little bit, then he would get firmer. And I just thought it was a bit harsh because, Donny's sat there quietly for months getting practically no opportunities. And the first time he kicks off a little bit, and now you're going to put a bit of pressure on him, with the media and stuff. I think,
and it's a bit refreshing to see nowadays a player actually wants to play as well. I mean, he's probably on good money there, and he's a young fella. He does want to play.
I think he definitely has quality, and I think he's never going to get picked over Bruno in that position. I think we've too many options up there. I think he's going to have to change his way of playing a little bit. I think he could add something from more of a sitting position because he can get the ball quick, play it forward quick. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really like what I'm seeing there. I think we're going to lose Donny. I think he'll go on loan, and maybe he only needs to outlast Ollie.
Yeah.
If he stays there a while, Ollie might not be there, and he may get an opportunity with someone else. So I'd say overall with Ollie, he's done some good things, steadied the ship, got us in the Champions League. We needed that so bad, but the young boys results, in Turkey last year, the decision not to bring Fred off again in the PSG game. There's some things there that just aren't quite right. And I think you can play bad and get by as long as you're winning. But if you're playing bad and you're dropping points, then the walls are closing in on you. It's only a matter of time.
But Ed, it's that time of the year again where Pogba jumps in the papers and says he's going to decide at the end of the year if he's going to give United the pleasure that he can stay. What do you think of that? And do you think maybe it's going to take Pogba leaving to give Van der Beek his chance, maybe a little bit deeper in midfield?
I'd have gotten rid of him 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You watched him last night and he's unplayable. You're just going, how is this the same guy?
Yeah.
Playing in the same deeper role. He has a Kante beside him, or last night, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the lad's name. They do all the legwork for him, but you still see him on the edge of his box, taking the ball, being composed, doing the easy things, and then having that jazz, bit of flair. But he just annoys the life out of me. Like that. He always just pops up in the paper. Oh, you never know. We'll see what happens. Just come out and say, I want to stay, sign a new contract, or I want to leave, and just go. Roy Keane said it a couple of years ago, get rid of him. United will survive.
Yeah.
They will. Get rid of as much of this disruption out of the dressing room as you need to. Now, apparently he's great in the dressing room, but this shite is always in the media, isn't it? It's will he stay, won't he stay, his haircut. Who cares about us being a haircut? Perform on Saturday and nobody will say anything, but he's another one.
Who cares about the hair?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what we could do now, Shane. That's your cards.
If one man was going to say that, who cares? It was going to be Ed.
3 strikes and you're out. Come on. But honestly, isn't that's what people are talking about? He has his hair this colour or that colour. It's irrelevant to what he does. If he goes out and actually puts a performance in week out, like it's similar to Martial. He's class today, and you go, Christ, he's unreal. He's back. He'd be deadly again next week, and then 2 weeks later, you won't see him for another 6 months. He'll do absolutely nothing. He'll get by. But the difference with Pogba is he scores this world-class goal, and they talk about he's great. He's a game changer. I've seen about 5 games, I think, for United that Pogba has been effective in, and 3 of them are off the left recently or towards the back end of last season. Other than that, he's a passenger in most games.
Yeah.
Bruno runs around like a headless chicken covering legs because he's that eager to just win the ball back and win, whereas you'll see Pogba saunter kind of through things. He frustrates the life out of me, so I'd flog him.
I would agree. I would 100% agree on that. Sorry for cutting in there, but
no, yeah, you're right.
I think people have been talking about it for a while, and I don't understand this build up in the paper and all these articles. Paul Pogba, will he stay? I think get rid of him. Are you telling me Donny van de Beek wouldn't come in and be more consistent? Donny van de Beek and De Jong ran the midfield for that Ajax team for 2 years, and he
Liverpool. Sorry for
I know they're slightly different. Sorry, Ed. Yeah, I know
Liverpool have success from having players like Van de Beek, Jordan Henderson. Jordan Henderson was getting marched out of Liverpool when Brendan Rodgers went in.
Yeah,
he worked with him. And he's one of the most consistent midfielders in the league.
Yeah,
and most
thank you for saying that.
He is though, and most effective in his position for what he does, because he'll give himself up so these guys can go forward and attack. But his passing abilities come on leaps and bounds. I'd have Van de Beek in actually putting a shift in every week, hitting a 7 out of 10 every week, and scoring the odd goal, the odd tap in, whatever it may be, as opposed to Pogba's. He'll be 8 or 9 this week, and then 4, 5, 6 every other week for 3 months.
I think it's quite telling as well that Fernandes has come in a lot later than Pogba, and he's now on the list for the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
In the time he's been there, and Pogba knows the club, knows it inside out, and was actually probably a bigger personality. Came from a better league, better pedigree, if you will, and it seems like he's been overtaken.
There's an attitude problem with Pogba. Yeah. There always has been, and this hiding behind his agent, who's doing all his dirty work for him, and his brother's doing all the dirty work. Like, if he had any commitment to United, who've been very good to him, just fucking say something. Tell them to shut up. Come out and start. I think as a United fan, we're all just fed up with it to the point it doesn't matter if he's a good player or not. We just don't want to listen to this shit anymore.
If you win titles or you win cups, you look past it. You kind of go at whatever, we're winning. You don't care about it so much. But the fact that we're not even remotely close to these things, it bugs me. And especially when you said it there, his brothers come out on the media as well. Oh, he's going to leave. He's going to sign for PSG. He's going to do this. Fuck off with him as well. So. Honestly.
So United, you've got Leicester away the weekend. What's the predictions?
Bad form, haven't they? Well, going into the internationals, they were in a poor run of form.
Yeah, Leicester been slow starters,
as well. But again, it's typical. United play against these teams. Brentford never played in the Premier League. They get a world record win against United. This guy hasn't scored in 6 years. Plays against United, scores a hat trick. Leicester haven't won in 4 league games. They'll play United and thump us 5-0 or something. So yeah,
optimistic now.
I've been optimistic since Fergie left.
He's right though, Mitch. Mitch, he's right though. Like it's hard to be optimistic because it's so inconsistent. We've a serious run of games ahead of us now. We've been fairly shite and scraped a few wins up to this point, yeah. But we could easily go and beat Man City or Liverpool or whatever. I wouldn't be shocked with that. But it's these other games where we're just there's no consistency there for us to actually be confident. We don't know what we're going to get week to week, and we don't know who's going to start week to week. Other than
Solskjaer is United's Lampard. That's exactly what he is.
I think so. Yeah.
He's the boss you have in work who you love working for. He's a great guy. Yeah. He won't say fuck all to you if you're late though. So you late every now and again.
Yeah.
And he'll go sleep it out again. You dirty rascal. He's never going to corner you and go, here, what's the story with this? Like, you never see him animated.
No.
Like, and he's laughing everything. There's a picture of Benitez screaming because everything they're losing the ball in the 94th minute, and there he is sticking his tongue out, putting a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Like if there was ever one moment I could climb into the TV game, man, that was it.
Sorry, I was just going to say, just touching on the Everton game, I think that shows, you're going into a 10-day international break where Ronaldo doesn't really have a competitive game, and you don't play him against Everton. Like, you don't start him. I couldn't believe it for the life of me when I seen it. It's not as if you had a big Champions League game on Tuesday or Wednesday, but you should just look at Ronaldo. He's the fittest athlete in the world. Like, the man played how many games in the Euros in short succession and didn't start him against Everton. I couldn't understand it, and I think that's where you're dead right with the the comparison of Solskjaer and Lampard there. It's trying to do something a little different and it not paying off.
No, once he's settled the ship. There's no doubt about it. He's kind of made United come back to what United's identity. What they keep crapping on about United identity. He's brought us back a little bit, but you need someone like Conte. I personally, I like a coach to be voice for, so I like to see him animated on the sideline. Arteta does it. Guardiola does it. As bad as the Arsenal squad is, Arteta's probably overachieving with them.
Yeah,
but Tuchel does it. Conte more or less plays the match with the players. Like he runs up and down that sideline like you won't believe. Top coaches are involved and invested in it. He sits up on his bench, and your man Kieran McKenna does be talking in his ear. Kieran McKenna managed to under 14's girls team or something. Like the fact that this guy's United's assistant manager even hurts me. Like, United are in dire form, and just selection. Even Carrick used to be screaming on the pitch as a player all the time. You don't see him doing it on the sideline. Mike Phelan sits as if he's like a fan. How am I sitting on this bench? This was Fergie's right hand man.
Yeah.
Do you think as a football club then United just don't want that personality in there? Because at the moment they'd have a puppet man to kind of do what they say. That Ferguson is his advisor and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I think you're right. He's never going to slate them, whereas Mourinho did. So he was gone straight away. Mourinho gave out about Woodward, he was gone. Whereas you won't ever get that from Solskjaer because he's the Ferguson mould. Keep it all in the house. He might do it behind doors. I highly doubt it. But they won't get rid of him for that reason.
This is all these big one, you know what I mean? Like we got rid of Van Gaal, we got rid of Moyes and Mourinho, and they were snapped up by other big clubs. I don't see a big club coming in for Ollie if we get rid of him.
No.
Do you know? I think this is it. And
Molde.
Big club, no?
But other than that, lads, you think you're going to have a great season?
Heartbreaking.
Even when they're winning, they're upset.
Yeah.
We got 2 for the price of 1 this week.
Oh, stop.
yeah, I think you're delighted.
So, Power, talking of not people who don't have characters in the dugout, we'll move on to you. You got Jurgen Klopp there.
Yes.
He's top class, isn't he?
Mitch, hold on a second. Did the lads even say what they think about the game the weekend? You think you'll pick a result against Leicester?
Oh, sorry,
Draw.
What did you think? Draw.
Yeah. I think we'll win. I think we'll get 2-1. We're going to concede. We concede in every game. I think he won't make the same mistakes. Ronnie will be back.
We know Maguire and Varane could be out as well.
True, yeah.
So Lindelof and Bailey. Come on.
Our defence is just shocking. Like that first line of defence, that defensive midfielder, they're open in every game, whether you're a big team or a little team. And then, we're missing Varane now possibly as well as Maguire. Yeah, maybe you're right, Ed. Maybe 2-2 then. I think we'll score because we've so much going forward, but we've so little and we're so weak in defence.
It'll definitely be a good game.
Yeah.
For Leicester.
We don't want to.
I was waiting for that.
We want 31-0 wins. That's what we want.
I got so fancy Leicester 2-1. Sorry, lads. But what do I
just say score draw myself. Yeah, score draw.
Yeah.
I say Brendan will come away with a point. 1-0.
I just feel sorry for Leicester. I think I read a stat the other day. They haven't had a full fit starting team since, was it 2019 or something? They've always had one of their key players out, if not more.
Or sold.
Sold, yeah. And Maguire back as well if they want. Pay his taxi fare myself.
So, Power, what were you saying about Klopp? The other day, he was brilliant. Well, it seems like we don't know what gets said in the change room, obviously, but first half against City, Liverpool a bit lacklustre, back to the wall. Going at half time, comes out, tactics are changed, and they done well. They was unlucky not to win. What do you think of him? Well, you obviously think he's great, but
yeah, to be honest, I don't know what we're going to do without him when the time comes. Like even half time the other day, we were poor against City. To be fair, the first half, very leaky. They obviously picked out Milner, put Foden out on him, and just let him get at him for the whole day. But he went in, did his little run, rumour have it to have his quick cigarette. And I feel like he's just that mirror the boys have got to look into, because there definitely no secrets or no hiding from him, and he's definitely going to let you know that you're being poor. Maybe a couple of little tactics, but we didn't change anything tactically. We just performed better. So it was definitely a motivational thing when they came in. Thought Diogo Jota was hopeless first half, and then he came out and he looked lively, which just opened up the next two little doors for Mo and Sadio, who are on another level. Like, I know everyone talks about Mo, but the work that Sadio does for us to go from getting in at point A to switching it out to Mo and getting in at point B, and then he has the ability to get at people, and then when he decides to pass the ball to Sadio, it's game over, really, isn't it?
Is there a danger he's going to get frustrated at Liverpool now because he needs to be backed in the transfer market? I mean, Liverpool, I've seen they got a new chant, no excuse, no money, all this stuff. They love a chant, mate. But listen, is it true? I mean, I've read today that Liverpool have the second highest wage bill in the Premiership, second to Man City. So are they trying to cut the bill, or are you just trying to get your excuses in early?
Look, being brutally honest, the fans and the media are going to say yes because it's a transfer market. That's why everybody just wants to see his new players in. Players are not performing out, but really we do it in our own way. Like, we have money, but we don't have that kind of money to compete with the top European superpowers. We're kind of at the end of it, and we do it in our own little way. We're now starting to make our own players again, which is huge. So whether they make it in the first team or they're getting sold for 20 or 30 million, that's a generation of cash. I'm talking about your Curtis Jones, your Harvey Elliott's now coming through. Like, Nico Williams is going to go for a few pounds, not a lot, but those type of players, we're making them every year now. So we've always done it in our own way. And if we haven't gone and spent big money this summer, is clearly a reason. We got rid of Ginny, who's probably not enjoying PSG as much, but that was to make way for the likes of Curtis and Harvey to come through. So as a Liverpool fan, I see it the other way. Why do you need to spend money when you're making players? Well,
he said,
I'd like to believe
I'm out of here. Paris Saint-Germain wants me and they put a wedge of cash.
He came out
so
saying that he's
Barcelona.
not happy.
Yeah, he said today,
Today
wasn't it?
he's not happy.
Yeah, he's not happy.
well, look,
He
what do you
hasn't been
expect?
playing too much,
What
has
do
he?
you expect when you're dropping down a level?
So was that Harvey Elliott who you made?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. You didn't put a cross in there.
Why, you're not a fan, Mitch?
Was that Harvey Elliott who you made from Fulham? Was it? Nice.
I appreciate the discount, though, Mitch.
It's the only thing I could talk about in Fulham in this chat. Had to get it in there.
He's a good player, Mitch.
But I mean, is Liverpool's squad thin at the minute? I mean, I'm looking at some of your players. You got Origi still, Firmino, Jota, Minamoto. You got good depth in that squad. I mean, probably you lads, United lads, probably don't have as much strength in depth as that. Would you say?
I'd say
there's some top players there.
I'd say we have a deeper squad than Liverpool. I think if Liverpool lose Salah, if they don't offer him them bigger wages and he bounces and goes somewhere else, I think Liverpool get their pants pulled down there. I think
if he goes and they don't replace him, that's when it will start to fall. If they replace him, it's really good. The way like Jota's a great player to bring in.
Yeah.
If they brought in another Jota caliber who can step up to another level, I think they'd be okay.
It's very hard to find the Mo Salah, though. You know, it's very hard to replace him. Like he's the main boy. Anyone that has him is lucky. I think it's criminal. Like I know you don't want to pay wages the same as some other clubs, but for like your best players, you have to go that a bit bigger to compete.
Yeah, I just think there is other ways to do things and run a football club, to be honest. Look, everybody wants those top tier players, but as you said, you can find a Diogo. You know, when we lost Luis Suarez, everyone said you won't replace him, you won't move forward. We got a new manager. You know what I mean? We lost Phil Coutinho. They said that's a big loss, 140 million. You won't go forward. We bring in Alisson and Van Dijk. There's many ways to do things, and there's gems out there. And I honestly do feel like we don't have that type of money. Like investing in the new training facility that we have, the complex there, expanding the stadium. Like we're working on other things, and we'll do it the Liverpool way. Is my honest feeling, and it's been working well. And I think that's what the big reason why Klopp will go down as one of the best managers for Liverpool ever is because he's leaving something behind. He's not just going to dip out and we're going to be terrible. There'll be a system in place that somebody can follow. So it'll be interesting.
Well, one thing I've seen that was interesting today, there are only 1 of 5 clubs in Europe who sign 1 player or less. And you have a look at the other teams who sign 1 player or less. Athletic Bilbao, Freiburg, Lorient and Saint-Étienne. That's not the company you want to be keeping. I know you're saying there's other ways to run a football club, but is there in the Premiership other ways to run a football club than improving every single year and investing in the squad every single year with the amount of money that's being thrown about? I mean, you look at Chelsea last year, were fantastic, won the European Cup, and this year's not a given that they're going to win the Premiership. You know, they're one of 4, maybe 5. Who knows if someone has a decent season from, you know, the best of the rest. It's not given that they're going to even win the league. Is there really another way to run a football club other than investing year on year?
I just think eventually, every so often, especially every second or third window, you're going to have to dip in and you're going to have to rejuvenate. So it's not every window I'm saying you're going to find a gem, but it doesn't have to be every window just to keep up with other clubs signing. If you've got a good thing going on, like a lot of people see Liverpool from last year, I genuinely feel, I know I'm defending them hard here right now, but it's been frustrating. It's been frustrating thinking that's the same side that's competing this year, and everybody's like, oh, Liverpool had that stumble last year. Well, we've got a brand new side out playing again. Watching Virgil, he's still not nowhere close to being at his. He's letting movements run behind him, in front of him. He's not winning everything, so there's still room for us to improve with those pieces again.
And can I just ask, what happens isn't it January now? It's the African Nations Cup this year. So what happens when Salah and Mane and what happens then? Your one player you signed is a centre half who doesn't get a game. So
yeah, no, I think January there'll be some business done. There'll be some, but it won't be. As a Liverpool fan, you just have to accept that going to buy someone every window, you know. But I'd rather do that than sign young, top prospects and just leaving them sit behind Solskjaer for 2 years.
Yeah, but do you not think then, Andrew, that the management of the club should have said, African Nations Cup coming up in January, why wait and bring someone in and try to have them have an immediate impact? Why not bring someone in the summer and give them time to blend with that team, knowing that we're going to rely on this one player for what could be a period of 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, it could be a case of we don't have the funds to do it, and he's getting told coaches out of it. You know, coaches through it.
Money. Because aren't they doing a new stand as well, or upgrading the stand? I think they don't have the money to do it.
And the complex, and if we're going to tie Salah down, maybe it's a thing where they need to meet in the middle. Salah wants a little bit more money. Maybe he won't get what he's asking for, but Liverpool need to bump it a little bit more and go slightly outside their wage structure. You know, but these are business people at the end of the day that's running Liverpool. So they're going to make business moves.
Newcastle isn't far away. He can go and get that unlimited budget.
It's right, they won the Premiership. They got something to talk about for 40 years now. It don't matter.
I just say Newcastle are fuming. They let go Rafael Benitez.
I'd say Benitez is pretty fuming as well, to be fair.
Jeez, they take him back quick enough.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think they would. Prediction for the weekend: the early kickoff. Watford Liverpool. Always a banana skin.
It's not even that. It's Claudio's first game, and he's going to want a pizza party.
I think he's
so tinker, man. There'll be changes in that Watford team. I'm telling you.
And you know it's a cup final when it's a manager's first game. Like, just team seems to give a little bit more, but I'm going to have faith that the boys had international window to work on some things. We've been in very exciting games. We've been kind of leaky, so I'm hoping for a 1 or 2-0.
Okay. You've had a few wobbles there, haven't you?
I'd say they'll have enough to beat them. I'd say 3-1, but I think Watford could take the lead. I reckon Watford could go 1-0 up, and Liverpool will have to come out again second half. Yeah. I think Sarr is just too good. I think Sarr is brilliant. How he's not been snapped up. I know Liverpool were looking at him 18 months ago. I think he's phenomenal. He drives at defenders. You don't see wingers like that much anymore. And I think he could get the goal for Watford, and then Liverpool will need to come out.
Yeah, I fancy Liverpool. An easy win. I don't see Ranieri offering anything different to what they've gotten rid of. I think they're actually doing quite all right. Okay, the results haven't been great, but they were actually progressing. Like, there was a plan in place. As much as Watford could give a manager time to put a plan in place, I just Ranieri's days they're long behind him.
He's living off that Leicester win. They're bringing him back just because of that. I think Watford gets slapped up. I'd say probably 4-1.
Yeah, I think a 3-4 Liverpool.
I'm going 3-0 Liverpool. He got us relegated as well, Ranieri. So,
which time was that? Must be like all the Vegas being a Fulham fan. Really for the weekend. Who we got? Big London Derby, QPR.
Go on, Mitch. Finish with the Fulham. Go on. Who do you have?
QPR.
Do you know what? I haven't even looked. How bad is that? Oh! Looking all your guys' games. I haven't even looked.
He just
it
knows
doesn't
it's going to
matter.
be a
We
win.
win every week.
It's because he goes to Stamford Bridge every other weekend.
Listen, whoever it is, I'm sure we'll have 70% possession and then go and lose 1-0. So it don't really make a difference.
Marco Silva.
Yeah. So we're used to champagne football at Fulham though, but champagne don't taste very nice most of the time. Nah. Well, yeah, that's all I'll say about Fulham.
For you to come up.
Everyone's favourite second team.
Yeah, because it's 6 points every season. That's why. The handy one.
Right, moving on.